interrupt this radio broadcast for a news break. Live from the PressCorps World Headquarters in Sunhaven, this is WPRSS and Ash Mayfield reporting. The war rages on in this 120th world conquest of the Siva Valley conflict, pitting the Wardens of the North against Messian Southern legions. It is now day 151. Breaking today, intense fighting in the north in the weathered expanse as Warden forces attempt to establish bases in this colonial-controlled region. And just then, total casualties pass 1 million. As a reminder, the PressCorps is focused on the Able Shard. Looking to our casualty office, total combined war casualties this time are standing at 1.02 million casualties, with Warden forces having taken 507,000 losses and Warden casualties looking at right above 517,000. The deadliest region so far this war is Westgate, with total combined colonial casualties at 89,000 and total combined Warden casualties at 112,000, putting total casualties in that region at almost 202,000. And the second deadliest region, with a very close second, about 15,000 casualties behind, is the weathered expanse, where there is intense fighting going on today, as we said. Looking to our map, in the west, all is calm in the western islands, seeing no pushes into either Fisherman's Row or the Oarbreaker Isles. In Westgate, tense combat is now as a costly Warden advance is seeking to take Kingstone. In some combat in King's Cage, as Colonial Western Theater Command has confirmed that the Manticle is now under their control as of about half an hour ago. In the center, intense fighting in the Linn of Mercy tonight, as Colonials attempt to move north in the region at a cost of almost 1,000 dead per hour against the Wardens, likely wanting to secure its eastern ridge to open up an attack vector into the bordering Callahan's Passage. And the recently secured Callahan's Passage, speaking of, is seeing more scrimmages in its south, with Warden forces keeping Colonials from establishing a foothold there just now. And the same situation in Viper's Pit, with Warden forces staving off Colonial attempts to establish footholds in its south. And in the east, to our main story, the weathered expanse is seeing brutal fighting, with Warden forces losing almost 1,300 per hour now against the Colonial 650 per hour. With that math, the Wardens are losing men at 2-1 in an effort to establish their own forward bases there. And some medium intensity combat in Morgan's Crossing, as Colonials have managed to keep their bases in its southwest secure for now. And in looking in the eastern waters, all is calm there as well, as there have been no significant combat in the Fingers or in Godcrofts. And now a report from White Knight from the Robert Loves Games Discord, reporting from the about the Battle of Duncan that appears to have happened on day 119 and 120. And as a reminder, the thoughts and opinions voiced in this submission, user-based submission, are not the thoughts and opinions of the PressCorps. Titled The Battle of Duncan. The front had been relatively stable since the outbreak of the war. Warden bunkers had been south of Outwitch Ranch, which had progressively pushed down the Merciful Strait Bridge. About halfway through the fourth IRL day, a colonial mortar operation harassed the Warden defenses for multiple hours, requiring a near constant inflow of BMATs. Over 2 hours, thousands of BMATs had been used. However, the Ulster Steeport had a large amount of BMATs in public, numbering over 600 crates. With the support of dedicated Logi players, the bunkers held. We had to rebuild the front line pieces back up multiple times while facing strong colonial infantry presence. And he goes on to label the operation. Nearing the end of the fourth day of about 8 a.m. EST, and that's Eastern Standard Time, a plan drawn up by the 3rd from the coalition of CSU began with the intention of capturing Fort Duncan. ISL had brought ambulances and an AC. Meanwhile, 6 lined up with mortar forces, numbering about a dozen. Only a few minutes later, tech would unlock, allowing the operation to fully engage in full swing shortly. Third had prepared for the tech to drop, preparing artillery pieces right away, bringing 3 pieces to the bridge battle. The Colonials would counter not too long after, with some light counterfire. Warden artillery would be successful in fending the Colonial artillery while supporting the front line. There was a strong presence of CSU coalition members in this offensive, such as forces from the 3rd, the 6th, 101 DB, ISL, ANV, and IG. Notably, the Field Marshal Espadolho, I'm not very good with these names sometimes, would join as a medic midway through the operation. Meanwhile, on the bridge, the battle had been favoring Wardens during the shelling and use of mortars and grenades. The Wardens began to break down the nearby defenses. A naval invasion would be launched during with additional forces. With the frontline bunker secure and colonial defenses crumbling, the bridge was rebuilt. By the early hours of day 119, Fort Duncan had fallen, with the Bazaar falling by 1500 on the same in-game day. By the end of day 120, the colonial presence within the Linear Mercy had been removed. Meanwhile, advances into the Deadlands had seen strong momentum, with Wardens controlling the Mandible Crossroads border bases and Mercy Meadow border base, with a bunker already halfway to Liberation Point. Again, we would like to thank Robert for his continued collaboration with the PressCorps and allowing us to use submissions from his Discord. If you would like your story read on air, please submit them to the Robert Loves Games Discord or at PressCorps World Headquarters Discord. And now to the Super Weapon Readiness Dispatch, or the Sword. As of today, on day 151, there have been no super weapons built for either side, which is not surprising this early in the war. As a reminder, the Super Weapon Readiness Dispatch covers construction of storm cannons and intelligence centers, and we have no further updates since our last reports. Looking down to the weather. In the north, thunderstorms reported in most of Reaching Trail and the eastern part of the moors. And in the east, Steamer Landing and Fisherman's Row have also reported rain and thunderstorms. Soldiers are advised to remain vigilant, as rain can create mud and puddles that may hamper mobility of personnel and vehicles. Our weather forecast would not be possible without the help of our volunteer storm chasers. If you would like to know more about the Storm Chaser Corps, please visit PressCorpsGaming.com/weather. The Press Corps reminds you to blink. Blink your eyes and keep blinking them. Don't forget the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, look away from your computer screen and look at something 20 feet away for 20 seconds. Doing so will help reduce eye strain and keep you fighting, building, and hauling for longer. We've also opened up applications for regimental advertisements. Do you want to spread awareness of who you are? Join the Press Corps Discord and make a submission, and we'll handle the rest. And from the Press Corps, we would also like to extend a warm welcome to the freshly enlisted into our ranks who may have joined us for War 120. We hope to see you on the front lines. Stay tuned for more news, music, and weather together on 121.5 WPRSS. Our next report will be soon. I'm Ash Mayfield, and you've been listening to the Press Corps, covering your world.
The Press Corps is an all-volunteer creative collective of reporters, broadcasters, artists, and more from the MMO video game Foxhole, developed by Siege Camp. Our mission is to engross our audience in and amplify the stories of this unique war ecosystem. The Press Corps was founded in 2018 by former Planetside 2 Radio Free Auraxis host, CaptainInArms. It is a separate community entity and is not officially representative of Siege Camp. For more information, visit our website at PressCorpsGaming.com. That's PressCorps Gaming.com.